Hi, I'm Hannah Wallace and welcome to FinextraTV. Kindly joining us on the call now is Prema Varadhan, Chief Product Architect and Head of AI for Temenos. Hi, Prema, welcome back. It's good to have you on the show again.
Hello, Hannah. My pleasure.
Now, we're speaking today off the back of the recently launched Economist Unit report on AI, which is part of a global research program. So could you start us off then by introducing the report and telling us a bit about the thinking behind it?
Yeah, sure. So it's an independent survey and it's a truly global report. What this report does, it's analyze the banking trends as to where banks are actually with their digital transformation journeys, what areas of digital investments that banks are making, and how are they seizing the opportunities to sort of change their business models in sort of response to the open banking and other structural drivers within the banking industry itself, and how they are able to be more agile in adapting to the changing needs. And COVID, if anything, has only accelerated the need to be more agile. So that's pretty much what this report is trying to do. And it's a report that is dedicated to AI. Yeah, among the many technologies that have actually revolutionized banking so far and continue to do so, actually AI is one topic which is up and coming, and the differentiation that it is bringing to the banking industry is quite unique, and it is something that is going to future proof the banks for quite some time to come. So this is quite important. So the report dedicated to AI is quite important, and the respondents to this survey are pretty much C-level executives or banking business sponsors. So pretty much those decision makers who take the call as to where and how to invest within the technologies itself. So it's quite an important report because of that. So in addition to what I just said, this report is also about understanding how the regulators and the governing authorities are looking at the applications of AI at broader and wider scale, because AI is known to be black box. AI is known to build bias into itself over a period of time if not governed properly. So quite important to understand that the governance authorities, the regulators are looking at it in a proper manner, coming up with a proper framework in which AI can be applied at scale. So it's this report focuses on both those aspects.
And it's interesting there that you mentioned COVID-19, because we spoke back in 2019 in The Hague, didn't we, about AI innovation as a differentiator for banking. But what about AI during the COVID-19 era? How can it help banks support their customers today?
Yeah, so again, it's a very interesting problem. Even though we are all going through very difficult times, one thing that hasn't changed for banks is the need to be able to understand the customers' changing behavior, the way they are spending money now, the financial burdens that they have come into as individuals, as businesses, as big corporates, and then to be able to respond to those specific needs. Yeah. And because it is such volatile nature and changing behavior, the traditional methods in which banks prefix the products, the pricing of the products itself, and how they service the customers, it's not good enough because the behaviors have changed. You need algorithms which can adapt to that change, identify that the changes have happened, and then to be able to respond with the right products, right services, probably the right pricing points that customers can now accept, and then to be able to come out of this economic crisis, either as an individual or as a small business or a big corporate, or a private wealth customer, for example, who used to be comfortable in investing in different types of portfolios. Suddenly you have to take a step back and look at what is the right portfolio decision for that investment for that particular customer itself. So it's about changing needs. It's about the need to actually respond to those constantly changing behavior. And it's not a one-off scenario. I think we are all getting used to the fact that this sort of constant dip and spike is going to happen over a period of time. And all of the industries have to respond to it. And banking industry is no different. They have to be resilient. And the resiliency comes from the fact that you have such self-learning algorithms which are able to pick up the change in this trend and are able to adjust the product and services according to those changing needs. So that's why AI is quite important in the wake of this pandemic and the economic pressures that we are seeing.
Mm-hmm. It's fascinating. And that leads me quite nicely into my next question, which is the challenges. What are some of the challenges of using AI in banking? And could you run us through these and what banks need to prepare for?
So the challenges haven't changed much, Hannah, from the last time we spoke. It's about availability of data, availability of clean data, availability of usable data, purposeful, meaningful data that can be fed into the AI algorithms. So the algorithms can be a lot more accurate and they can learn over a period of time, and then the accuracy increases by itself. But the challenge that comes with data is, what if there was bias built into that data? So we have seen examples last year about the Apple sexist credit card, right? Where there was a report that the algorithm was actually discriminating between the male and the female applicants for credit cards. And there was a larger rejection rates for female applicants. So we have to take that into account. So the benefits that AI algorithms bring, it's definitely far sophisticated and future-proofed, but at the same time, it brings with itself a certain inherent bias, which is what makes the regulators and the governance authorities quite nervous, and also quite rightly so the banks themselves, because banks have to explain these decisions they make with AI algorithms to their customers and regulators. So the opaqueness of the algorithm, the bias itself, is a serious concern for banks. So explainability of these algorithms is a key factor.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'd love to sort of end on Explainable AI and hear about what Temenos is doing in this space. What have you done so far around Explainable AI?
So firstly, I'll start off with the acquisition that many are probably familiar already. We acquired a company called Logical Glue last year, roughly about the same time last year. It's been 1 year. They have a unique patented algorithm for explainability of any AI algorithm. So it's not only the algorithms that have been built on this platform, but any black box model can be explained using the explainability which we have now acquired. So it's part of all of the algorithms that we build. The AI platform itself is a machine learning as a service platform. So it's a SaaS solution for us. So anything that gets built or deployed using our platform has that explainability at the heart of it. So whether it is a credit scoring model or predicting whether a transaction is a fraudulent transaction or not, et cetera, et cetera. Any algorithm that is built in provides this explainability as a default feature. What it gives then is for the human users to be able to interpret that decision taken by AI and to say, okay, these are the factors that has influenced the algorithm positively, negatively, and the ones where there are negative decisions, negative factors higher than the positive factors, human users can interpret, modify, simulate the results, and then take that decision forward, right? So it's not about just taking a decision by the algorithm and then moving on. That is also applied at mass scale. But where there are critical decisions made by AI algorithms, human users can interpret it, modify it, and then to be able to, explain why that decision is now improved. That is such an important feature. Not all vendors have it. And without that, as I said, governing authorities, the regulators, customers, as consumers of these applications, we ourselves won't be convinced that, AI is the right answer to our problem. Yeah.
It's incredibly interesting, Prema, and you've explained it really well there. Some interesting developments ahead, I think it's safe to say. But we'll leave it there for now. Thank you so much, and I hope we can speak next year and talk about and revisit this interview. So thank you very much.
Absolutely. Thank you, Hannah. My pleasure.